RawFuelTV is sponsored by WheelSport, your snowmobile, motorcycle, and ATV specialist.
Hey everybody, it's Steve from RawFuelTV. So we're going to have a look at the newest machine in the Raw Fuel stables, and it's a 2014 Honda 125 Grom. We're going to have a look at what's good about this bike, what's bad about this bike, what we're going to do to it, what's been done to it, and the goods and bads of that. So let's get her started. So when we picked up this bike, pretty much everything about it was stock except for the adjustable levers. That also includes the handlebars. Now we had a set of old Suzuki RMZ 450 handlebars floating around, and they're a set of Renthal fat bars. And we threw them on right away, just to give it kind of a different look, a slightly lower look. But in doing that, this 5-second handlebar swap turned out to be a few hours. So by swapping out the stock handlebars, we gave this bike a slightly lower look. It's just going to suit what we're looking to do with it. Now the stock handlebars sit more in this position, a good couple inches higher, so it's going to help us cut a little bit of wind maybe, and it's just going to give us again the look that we're shooting for. So the first problem that we encountered was the stock bar mounts. Now here's a set of the stock handlebars, and the bar mounts are considerably different just due to the size of the bar itself. Okay, the stock bar, the 7/8 bar versus the Renthal fat bar. So obviously the Renthal fat bar is not going to fit into these clamps. Lucky enough, we had a set of bar mounts from a YZ250, a newer model YZ250, and the bar mounts actually fit right in nice and neatly, and it was actually a really easy changeover, and that allowed us to shove the Renthal fat bars in. Now, once we mounted these YZ250 handlebar mounts, and they are a rubber mount, A, that's going to cut down on a bit of vibration, and B, if in the event of a crash, it's actually going to allow the bars just to shift a little bit, which is going to help out to avoid any bending and whatnot. The negative side to that is you actually got to line these up and loosen them and tighten them and just get them lined up so that the bar is in line with the triple clamp up top here. But that was a pretty easy fix. So once we got them mounted properly, the next thing you got to check out, do we have proper clearance? Based on how we did this, the clearance of these works just right, and everything worked out really, really nicely in that regard. Okay, next up, factory mirrors. Now these are scooter mirrors. They look like scooter mirrors, and I didn't particularly like the look of them, so I wanted to get rid of these. Lots of options available online. You can check out the different places that sell ruckus parts, Grom parts, scooter parts. They're going to help you all out. I did find that a lot of the prices were a little bit heavy duty. So options here are bar end mirrors, which I've looked at, which I've seen, which I chose not to go with because they typically offer a very small field of view. And you know, there's a certain amount of practicality, safety, looks, kind of all those things combined when you're choosing any of these components for your bike. And there is no right or wrong answer. It's, you know, what are you looking for? What are you trying to get out of this? And is it safe? And is it going to work out? So I ditched out the factory mirrors, and I couldn't decide exactly which mirror that I wanted. Actually, to be honest with you, the ones that I really was excited about or wanted, they were quite expensive. They were like $150-200 for mirrors, and I wasn't prepared to pay that. So I was in the my local factory dealership, and when I was in the dealership, I started looking around at the bikes in stock to see mirrors. Flip online, take a look at images of Honda Grom, see which mirrors you think look right. And while I was in my local dealer, it's WheelSport here in Ottawa, I noticed a set of these mirrors, and they were on a set of, they were on a 2016 Yamaha FZ07. And the cuts of this mirror kind of fit what I was trying to accomplish. So I ended up ordering a set of these Yamaha mirrors, and they were only 40 odd bucks each. So, you know, for about half the price, I got a mirror that A, is going to work out pretty well. It created the right bar distance, and it also provided some view to the rear. So I ordered these, and lo and behold, problem number, 3 shows up. So on the clutch side, it's the proper threading of this mirror, and it's a right-hand thread. But on the other side, on my brake side, the throttle side, it's like a left-hand threading, and that is a problem. Why is that a problem? Because one of the mirrors fit on and the other mirror didn't fit on. So I had to do a whole bunch of modifications, unfortunately, to this side mirror. What I did was I took off the, well, here's the stock mirror. And the stock mirrors actually come with both threadings to it. They come with a right hand and a left hand. So if you're good enough, you're gonna actually take this little nipple off the bottom side of it, sorry, this adapter off of the bottom side of your stock mirror, and that will thread right onto the factory mirror and this is gonna fade right onto the, or thread right onto the Yamaha mirror, and that's gonna allow it to screw into the stock brake perch of this bike. But then we came to, it was way too long. By the time I added this adapter to the current piece of the Yamaha mirror, you know, all of a sudden this mirror stuck up about another 1.5 inches, which was horrible. So I had to go and hack down the threads of the mirror a little bit and add this on. Anyways, long story short, it all worked out, but the components from this stock mirror are very, very handy, and they are going to work out if you decide to get a mirror like this, or a mirror for Yamaha, or whatever the case may be. You know what? The best idea is just to walk around your local dealership, check out what mirrors you think look good, and then make them adapt, make them fit, and you'll be able to do that likely through this stock mirror, through the components provided on the stock mirror. So that piece itself was sorted out. What's next on this bike? So this V-rubber, from everything that I get from it, it's not the greatest in the world. It's going to do an adequate job, but it's certainly inexpensive rubber. So whether you decide to go with this style of tire, again, there's lots of different compounds. Whether you want to race this, you can get some racing slicks, or if you just want like a dual compound tire, those are also available on the market. I decided to go with the Maxxis M6024. It's actually a knobby tire, and it's going to suit what I want to do for this bike, and that's because I want to do this on a few back roads. Just the area that we're living in, the back road commuting is going to be easier for me, and they also will stand up pretty well on the pavement. So we're going to ditch this tire out. The clearance issues, and apparently all of the fit, clearance, and all that issues with the Maxxis M6024 tire are perfect. So we shouldn't have to do any further modifications of this bike. We're just going to put those tires on front and rear. It's the 120 front, 130 rear. And that's going to be on the next video. We'll see how that looks out. So riding impressions of this bike. The stock handlebars, you definitely sit up more in kind of a comfortable scooterish position. They are quite comfy, the stock bars. What are the negatives to them? You are sitting upright like a billboard. You do attract a lot more wind. The Renthal fat bars, they put you in a slightly lower position. Is it any cooler? I don't know. I think it probably feels cooler than it actually is. I'm sure it's very similar position aesthetically from the stock bars, but it does feel a little bit cooler. The bars are also a little bit wider, so you're going to notice a different aspect of control with the bike. If you're one of those guys that has to ride with your knees right in tight to the tank, and if you're making tight turns, the Renthal fat bars are going to end up impeding on your knees, so you're going to actually end up having to shove your knees out a little bit wider to do those really tight turns. But in average everyday riding, you're not going to notice anything regarding the bars and turning radius, simply because it's not very often that you're at full lockout on these bars. The mirrors themselves, so those mirrors themselves actually work out really well. They're slightly wider than the stock mirror, meaning they stick out slightly wider than the stock mirror and allow you to get a bit better view behind you. And I think the cut of the mirror resembles this bike a little bit more. This has got a lot of lines to it. So first ride impressions. Yesterday we wrapped out 100 kilometers or 60 miles on a trip. Well, I wouldn't call it a trip, it was just to one of our local parks with some windies and stuff like that. There's not much wind protection on these Groms, so if it's a cold night out, dress warm. I can tell you there's for sure not much wind protection. My knees, inside of my legs, everything was cold. You know, this is certainly more of an in-city bike, a play bike, rather than let's go rack up some miles on this. It's very comfortable, to be quite honest with you. It is quite comfortable, but you know that feeling that you get when you're when you want to accelerate or pass a vehicle or something like that, you're not going to get that feeling because you're not going to be able to do that. You know, you got to plan well in advance if you want to pass somebody, and you are shifting between that third gear and the fourth gear quite a bit. But you know what, other than that, I mean, it's a 125, what do you expect? Sure, I could go and blow a whole pile of cash and throw a 150 kit or something like that into it, but that's not what we're using this bike for. For in-city stuff and or commuting, seems to be a pretty decent bike for that. It's super light. Oh my god, you can just throw this thing around. When it's in your garage, you can lift it up, maneuver it about. It's super cool in that way. And it's funny, you know, one of the guys that I ride with, he's got some higher end, you know, Italian sport bikes, but he told me that his Grom gets more attention than his high-end sport bike, and I totally believe it, because everybody at lights stops and asks you, you know, what that bike is, where do you get it, how fast does it go? So, you know, I've heard people say on the net before, if you don't like attention or if you don't want to talk to people, don't get a Grom. Oh my god, it's 100% right, because this son of a gun, everybody's going to be talking to you, stopping, asking at red lights. You're at your local Tim Hortons or your local watering hole. They're always going to be asking you who, what, when, where, and how with this bike. So that being said, once we get this fender swapped out, we'll get another video made of that, and we're going to show what she's going to look like with the knobby tires, and we'll catch you next time on RawFuelTV. If you enjoy these videos, subscribe to our channel, like us on Facebook, or check us out at www.rawfueltv.com.